Good afternoon. This video, I'll just pass on a video that I found last night. That's an excellent video refuting Stephen Anderson's videos and its anti-Semitism. This is the new FIB cult rewriting history. And let me start. I'll just play a few minutes here.
And convert them to his doctrine.
You know what we're just going to call ourselves? Independent Fundamental Baptists. Because we're going to change what it means, yeah? Your fears, be very afraid.
In this third installment, we are reviewing the film Dispensation of Heresy. Anderson has filled the internet with his preaching and diatribes, but the films that he and his followers are making are their statement pieces.
Interesting, in that film has Adam Fannin in there. And Adam Fannin now is being denounced by these same guys, the new IFB guys, as Satan himself, because he dared defy Anderson.
They are carefully crafted to put forward some major idea, but they are fraudulent and highly deceptive. They consistently twist the truth in an attempt to deceive people. Sadly, they are having a huge effect. Anderson has more than 110,000 followers on YouTube alone, and his videos have been viewed literally millions of times. This is what 110,000 people looks like. He is influencing people who do not have enough biblical or historical knowledge to adequately measure his claims. Their films follow a very predictable pattern. Since Anderson and his followers are anti-Semitic in their doctrine, it's little wonder they would adopt a technique Hitler used in subverting the masses in Germany. He called it the big lie. It's when you tell a lie so colossal that people believe you must be telling the truth, because no one could have the impudence to distort the truth so infamously. To sell his lies, he and his followers make films that rewrite history, distort what IFB churches believe, and then they bring in false witnesses to endorse their claims. The big lie in this movie is that dispensationalism is a new doctrine that has infiltrated IFB churches. I kid you not. If that's not a big lie, I don't know what is. Here, Anderson acolyte Bruce Mejia delivers this news with appropriate drama.
And just like any other false...
Now, this guy's a real con man, this guy, Mejia. A real con man. He's got the technique down. He's a real salesman. Very slick.
Religion, what they do is they'll use some truth, right? Because
that's what he does. They use some truth. He's projecting. That's exactly what these guys do. They use some truth to get over their lie.
The fact of the matter is, most dispensationalists, guess what they are? They're King James only.
Yeah. They're King James only. That's why they're dispensationalists. Because the King James Bible supports dispensationalism. That's why. Not because they read the Schofield notes. The Schofield notes, you check the Schofield notes, and it lines up with what the King James Bible says. So, oh yeah, the King James Bible. The people he's going to point out here that are leaders of dispensationalism, Darby, Schofield, Larkin, they weren't King James only guys. They weren't King James only guys. That's the attack they make on them. Well, how come the followers of dispensationalism are King James only guys?
Supposedly, right? So they get their foot
supposedly, no. Show us where it contradicts King James Bible. They can't.
in the door in independent fundamental Baptist churches.
They get their foot in the door. IFB has always been King James only. I mean, dispensationalist.
Under the guise of being King James only, but then
under the guise of being King James only. Like, that's what they're doing. They're sneaking into churches and trying to get churches away from dispensationalism. He's projecting. He's doing what the new IFB is doing is exactly what he's saying the dispensationalists are doing with the IFB. IFB has always been dispensationalist.
What do? They bring in their leaven, and a little leaven at the whole lump.
To hear them tell it, evil men arose and infiltrated churches with their evil doctrine of dispensationalism. They wickedly deceived people into reading the Bible literally and not allegorically.
That's the hermeneutic of dispensationalism. We actually read a literal interpretation. The Old Testament prophecies have about 300 of them haven't been fulfilled yet. We don't allegorize them. We don't ignore them.
And then when dispensationalism came, it brought with it the attendant evils of Zionism. With the Andersonites, it always...
1909, Schofield said the Jews have to go back in the land. 1909, he predicted. They have to be back as unbelievers. He didn't say they go back as believers. This is 1909. Then he went back in 1948. So he was ahead. He was ahead from 1909 to 1948. He predicted. None of these guys, and that was going against the grain of the amillennialists and the post-millennialists and all these. Oh no, the Jew's never going back to the land. No way the Jew gets back in the land. But dispensationalists were predicting the Jew was going to go back in the land, and they were predicting it back in the 19th century. But I'm going to move here to about 20 minutes in the video. He's about 19 minutes in. He's going to talk about dispensational salvation.
They cannot find even one Baptist proponent of what they claim to believe, whatever that might be. So they join with Calvinists, Methodists, and others to fight against the traditional beliefs of almost all fundamental Baptists.
Yeah, the people they put on that movie they put up on dispensationalism were not Baptists. They were all from different groups. They were the anti-dispensationalists. They weren't Baptists.
They are clearly embarrassed by this, because they put the names of their enemies on the screen, but they never tell you who their supposed friends are. That's because they are deceitful, and they don't want you to know which way they are taking you. They must quote these outsiders because they have no historical basis for their beliefs other than Calvinists and those that come from that stream. If their beliefs were truly embraced by Baptist churches, surely they should be able to produce one historical artifact, one Baptist theologian, one great person of stature to testify for them. But no, they are the ones who are bringing in damnable heresies. Finally, the Andersonites want to take dispensationalism away from you, but they...
Let me see, go back. Here it is. So it's about 17 minutes in. Point 4.
Darby was right about that, as time has proven, and no amount of slander can take that from him.
He's talking about Darby predicted the Jews had to go back. Schofield predicted the Jews had to go back. All these guys predicted the Jews had to go back to the land as unbelievers, because that's what the Old Testament says.
They are crooked in their presentation. They try
This is point number 3, excuse me.
to change the definition of dispensationalism to something no sound IFB church believes. Dispensationalism has only ever had one gospel. But in dispensation,
Get that. Dispensationalism has always had one gospel. He's going to talk about faith works. So when you get up there, I know you guys are all oohing and ahhing of a breaker. He's teaching a false gospel for the Old Testament. And that's who these guys bring up. Hoffman and Gene Kim and Sluder. These are the guys they're going after who are teaching of faith works. By the way, Sluder is in this thing with the IFB and sugar-free pulpit sermons. I don't know if they know this guy is rejecting the Trinity. He's a modalist. And in fact, he's teaching faith works in different dispensations. I don't know if they know that.
of heresy, they use Peter Ruckman as the main spokesperson for dispensationalism. This is one of their favorite ploys. In Marching to Zion, they tried to tell us that John Hagee somehow represents church.
There's another guy, John Hagee, said that Jesus Christ never claimed to be the Jewish Messiah, and the Jews can still be saved without believing in him. And they try to make that like we believe that.
Which believe that God has future plans for Israel. That's preposterous on the face of it. Now they try to tell us that Peter Ruckman represents the standard view of dispensationalism.
That's what these guys are trying to tell you. That's what Baker's trying to tell you. Sluder's trying to tell you. Gene Kim is trying to tell you. Hoffman's trying to tell you. And you get upset because the guy's warning you against that. You get upset the guys who warn you about that. Here's a guy who's telling you he does not represent what dispensationalism teaches, Peter Ruckman, regarding dispensational salvation.
Again, that's preposterous. I believe that Ruckman held a heretical view of salvation because he believed that salvation was by works in the Old Testament. Why don't they...
That's Lordship salvation, by the way, in the Old Testament. He was teaching Lordship salvation in the Old Testament and tribulation.
Interview one of the tens of thousands of highly respected Baptists who have endorsed dispensationalism and who preach salvation by grace both in the Old Testament and in the New.
Got that? Most Baptists teach salvation by grace through faith in all dispensations. And they don't believe in the idea, well, they were looking forward to the cross. That trite expression. Very few believe that. They understand it was a different gospel. Different gospels presented, but every gospel had one thing in common with the other gospels. It was always by grace through faith. But you'd rather believe the people who lied it.
Because to do so would destroy their lie. They are deceitful.
Okay, then it goes, they're deceitful in their proof they offer. That's point 4. So I'm going to stop here and put this up. Again, I'm going to put more work up on dispensational, the continuity. And you think I'm kidding around with you. These guys are lying to you. You can't accept that. A faith work system of the dispensation and act like it's nothing, because they're pushing it. And they push it against one. James Knox has a good thing on. I'll be talking about that. One tried expression. Oh, they were saved by looking forward to the cross. That's a tried expression. They weren't looking forward to the cross. They had a different gospel. God was looking forward to the cross, and he forgave them based on that. But the other tried expression is, well, they were saved by doing their works. They had to do works. And then there's a disagreement even among Hoffman people. Oh, Hoffman never said they were saved by works. And yeah, he says that people are going to have only a work system, because he goes by the definition of faith based on Hebrews 11:1 and not the definition in Romans 4, being fully persuaded. But I'll stop, put this up, and tell you, look, this is serious stuff. And always people get upset about exposing heretics. Why don't you just preach the gospel? That's what I was getting. Why don't you just preach the Bible? Because the heretics are out there and deceiving you. Anderson's out there. And you got Bryan Denlinger out there. And you got the Sluder and Kim and Breaker and all these other guys teaching you heresies. Teaching heresy, you don't care. Just picking it down. Oh, I love Robert Breaker. Do you love the truth more? Oh, I just love it. I love when he lies to me about dispensational works, faith works. Like anybody can be saved by the works, and then he doubles down, triples down. How could you? He asked the guy who didn't believe that. How could you not believe that? He doesn't believe people saved. Weren't even saved in the Old Testament in Abraham's bosom. Then he gave all these false things. Whoa, look what happens in the New Testament. See, that means they can't be saved in the Old Testament because we get two natures of baptism of the Holy Spirit. But I'll be going more into that. Going in, stepping on the feet of your favorite pastor. But your favorite doctrine. Guys like Sluder doesn't believe in the Trinity. And he's, holding himself to IFB. And then you got guys, Sam Gibb and I forget the guy's name, visiting him, and go buddy with him. Absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. So you got modalists now. Most Sluder's a modalist. And yeah, Sam Gibb's right there with him. Oh, he's a Baptist preacher. IFB. So stop here and put this up. Amen. Thank you.